Welcome to the channel and this first part in a new irregular series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Now I have done a separate introduction video for this series, but for anyone who skipped it, I'll just give a quick recap of why I'm doing the series and what the objective is. Now the reason behind this series is that someone left a comment and said could I would take a look at the Baltic coast islands map by Black Hole Saptrap. And it was a very interesting map, and the more I looked at it, the more I thought, well, there was an opportunity here to explore game mechanics I've never looked at, such as spirituality, working with a populated map, I've never done that, and various other things. The more I looked, the more interest it got, and then I thought, well, why not? Let's just do this irregular series. But what I will say is that this map will cause me to do lots of mistakes because I'll be in totally new territory. There's also the very real possibility this could be a very short series if I can't get the economy right before the quite large sum of money that I'm starting with is all spent. And I am going to spend a lot of the money because I will be using auto build and I'll also be using auto purchase at the beginning. But the idea is once the economy is up and running, we won't be no longer using auto build, and we also won't be using auto purchase. So what will be the objective of this series? Well, because this map's got minimal resources, the idea of building a self-sufficient society is out. So what we're going to be trying to do is build a more real-life trading economy where we'll be able to import raw materials, turn those into added valid products, and then ship them out to keep the economy going. Also, eventually there will be some element of tourism in here, because I would like to build the two main settlements here, this one here and this one up here, into tourist centres, taking this advantage of these historic towns, because I want to preserve these, and more importantly I would like to preserve the population as well. There is another town up here which is quite small, and eventually I would like to develop it, but in the early game we're probably not bothered too much about this. In fact, I'm going to use this population to build a large industrial town down here. In fact, it'll be a series of towns. This area of the map is going to be my industrial powerhouse for goods going to the Soviet Union, partly because we've got a road crossing here, and more importantly we've got the ability here to put some ports in which will allow us to ship out products very quickly. Now the other option will be for later on in the series. We're going to be building this up so that we'll be able to export to NATO. So what we'll be doing is probably putting rail links in to ship goods out here, so this eventually will become a port city, simply because the two middle towns, they're really too far away from the water edges to be viable as exports. And you can't even really bring tourists in, because tourists will only travel for 12 hours. And this is one of the stings and the tails on this map. If I come to here, you see there's a railway line. The only railway line comes in up here, and it's all very slow speed track. If I show you here, you can see it's 70-kilometer track. So tourists are coming into this town here at the moment. Their 12-hour journey trip expires roughly about here, and then so we won't be able to get tourists into here to experience our historical town unless we upgrade the track. But this is going to be very expensive, and I don't really want to do that. So we can't really start with tourism. So we're going to have to think of other solutions. That covers the objectives and what we got to accomplish. Now the problem is how we're going to do it, because it's going to involve a lot of preemptive planning before we get into letting the game run forward normally. And I thought about how I'm going to build the initial economy, and rather than do long hour-plus videos of me building lots of components, what I'm going to do is do a series of short videos. There are probably about 4 of them, where I'm going to focus on specific aspects of the setup so that I can talk more about it, and you guys won't be falling asleep in the chair thinking, God, he's rambling on so much. And in this video I've got 2 objectives. One is to get some farms set up, and also to get the main power grid laid in. And if I kind of pull back a little bit now, anyone who watched the introduction, you'll see that there's some grey scars on the map. And the reason for that is I've done a bit of preemptive work. In fact, I've done about 2 hours of working with this map, tidying up, making a few changes, straightening roads out. I've been looking very carefully at the town centres here, tidying up some of the footpaths according to what I want to do. I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm just saying that what I want to do with these towns to put the key resources in, because of course none of these towns have got shops or schools or anything in them. So I've kind of tidied them up a little bit. And of course one of the biggest tasks, if I come down the corner here, is that we've got this lovely double track coming in here, but what I had to do was signal it up. So if we click on the signals here, and I admit I could do a whole video on just me talking while I signaled this up. It's a very long track. And the other thing I've also done, if I come over to here, this is something I would strongly recommend for anyone working on a populated map where they're going to do some auto building, is spend some time putting your power supply in, because we're going to be drawing our power from here. What you want to do is once you've laid it all out, especially when you can't lay a straight lines and you've got dog legs like this crossing rivers, and I've had to put in substations because we're going to need power in here. Once you've got the power line in to a key point where you were going to build from, which is this point here for me, save the game and then reload it, run it, build the power line, and just make sure that the power actually comes to here, that this is all joined up. Because one, it will save you a lot of inconvenience, and two, it will actually save you money from having to go back and rebuild sections of this after you've built it. So there's a little bit of a tip there. So let's just move on to farms, because this is going to be a little bit tricky, and this is the reason why the game's on pause. You can see the game actually starts on the 19th of March 1960. So we're already 19 days into the first of the sowing season. So what I want to do is get some fields laid out, and so that when we unpause the game to do the initial build, which will bring up all sorts of buildings, the farms will come up and we'll be able to get the tractors out straight away and get some sowing done. I think probably the best way to start is over here, because this is where the easier farm will be. And another thing I've also done is taken out the little tabs for the suggested fields, because we're going to build the farm out here. We're not going to build farms around the town here, because this is my expansion direction for when the town gets bigger. And of course up here we've got uranium, so eventually we'll have a nuclear fuel processing plant up here. There's also a little village over here, so what we'll most likely do is kind of work to join these together as an urban area. How far can I take a farm out? I think if we go here. Now I am going to be building with mud roads. I know it's inefficient, but I want to try and stay fairly true to my main principles of building the roads up from mud roads. The only exception is going to be in here when I set shops up. I may be building footpaths just to try and make sure that the residents can reach the key buildings, but that's not going to be in this video. So what we're going to do now is I've got a crossroads in here, and I'm going to stick to the tip that many of you guys have nagged me in my other series about putting the farm buildings in the center of the fields, not on the edge. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here. So we'll put the agro farm in here, and of course we're going to attach a silo to it about there, and we'll just put in a mud road here. And of course one thing we are going to need is a, where is it, what we call it, a gas station. I'm just going to put a little, put this in here, a farm refueling station. So we got that in there, and the other thing I also want to put in here is a distribution office. I think we'll put the distribution office on this side. Where is it? Ha, it's in here, isn't it? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the full 9 yards and put a medium one in. We'll drop that in there. Now the next thing I need to do is consider power, because this is away from the main settlement. And what I'm most likely going to do is bring the power in down this road here, and probably going to bring the power in about here. So what we'll do is we'll put a substation. Kind of very tempted to be a bit cheeky here actually. I know some of you guys are going to wince at this. Maybe 300 meters. How far away is 300 meters? I put it like a slight angle. I can put that connection over there. It's going to cost me $12,000. Everything I'm putting down now is, you can see, is auto purchase on dollars. I think if I do this a bit cheeky, I can get more fields around here. I think in the long term this will give me benefits, because I won't have to run overhead cables over there. Yeah, I think we're going to go for it. And this is something I do want to experience with, because last time I did something like this was back when the game came out, which was over a year ago now, when I was learning the game. And I was did what most people do when you first learn in the game. You don't build everything. You get a big pile of money and you start trying to build everything. And so this is a little bit of a rerun experience, is probably the polite way of saying this. And what we're going to do is go full mediums fields. Actually, what would be the better option? I could put, so if I put that there, that would give me a dead zone there. But what I could do is just put a, I think I don't want to come too close to the town, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just put a field in there on that side. And we could come out, say something like that. Give a little bit of a stagger to it to compensate for the road. Or I come out one more? No, I think we'll just come out two here. As I say, I don't really want to crowd the town. So we'll just come in like that. Did that connect? Yes, it did connect. I've got to remember not to unpause. So we've got 1, 2, 3 fields there. Going that way. I really should have gone that way, shouldn't I? Never mind. And hopefully what we'll do is it could be, because we're going over ground here. If I do that, maybe just tilt it a little bit that way. And I think we can get maybe 3 fields out this way, like that. Get that in a little bit. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna have to go 1, 2, 3 out that way. Maybe putting the underground cables in wasn't such an advantage, but I'm quite happy with that. And we'll just run this road across the front of the fields here like this. We start in fairly close and come out this way. We'll let the road run through because we may eventually want the road to run up through there. And we'll hook this up here. And I think we'll push this road out here. Now, I don't want to crowd this coastline too much because we'll probably eventually have to bring a high power tension cable down this way as well. So, don't want that. Want this. I think we'll put just one more medium field on. Oops. Out. Well, put one more medium field on the end here. And of course, what we got in this corner now is we can one, two, three, four there. Again, this is, I think we go out in rows, so if I put in road across like that, and we'll just keep the grid going, and we can cut 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm not too worried about whether these come out too far because there's a very good chance we're going to have a second farm here. So in fact, I think what we'll do is we'll come out, maybe put one, oops, one more there, extend that out a little bit further. So eventually what we could have is overlapping farms. So you can come there. And of course we're going to put some more. That's actually almost the width of the field, isn't it? I think this time we'll have a couple of fields running like that. And we'll put one round like that. And hopefully get a dirt road through the center. You can connect up like that. I think we'll just put in a row across here. It's 1, 2, 3 and a bit. So we might just be able to get which way round? I think maybe if we go this way. It might be easier this way because that would shorten the distance the vehicles have got to travel. And this road sticks out a little bit too far, so we'll just take him back a little bit. In fact, what we'll do is take a road up from there, on you right to here, trim you back a bit, on you into here like that. And what we should be able to do is get another medium field. And we can just drop you on the end like that. And I think that is probably enough fields for one farm. And as I said, what we'll most likely be doing is having another farm down here eventually, because this is very much empty space down here. This is where our farm's going. There's no real resources here. There's some bauxite there. So we'll probably expand this farm further, and of course because we're starting on the 19th of March, even when this comes up, it's very unlikely we're going to get all these fields sowed in the first year. So that's the first field up and running, or first farm, sorry, not field. Now this one's going to be a little bit more cramped, so I'm going to have to pay a bit more attention to it. Let me just get rid of here. I really should have taken this road out before. So we're just going to come around here like that. Probably sort out the wiggles in this one as well. I think while the brown is on the ground, we'll take this road out as well. And we'll take you out as well. I mean, the winding roads are very aesthetic, but from the perspective of trying to build an economy, they are not that practical. Now, I don't want the fields to crowd into there, so I think what we'll do first is see what we can lay out field-wise. Where would I want the farm? I don't want the farm to be too far away from the town, because we're going to have to give fire coverage. Maybe if we put the first kind of run across like that. We'll put the dirt road in there for you to connect up to. Too close. Ah. Thank you, game. We can get a little bit closer than that. And back to this field. I'll get you. Yeah, I think if we run a main road through on the back of this field now, New down here. If any of you are wondering why I'm not using the wireframe, because the way this map's orientated, as you can see here, the wireframe is not particularly useful for laying out a grid. So let's take this off. I think this is far enough away. So if I trim this back a bit to there, and now I'm going to lose a little bit of space here, but I don't think it's going to be particularly that important. What I want this road to run roughly parallel with the tracks, but I want to leave enough space here in case I want to put any buildings or anything like that in. Also, we may have to build well, it's almost guaranteed we're going to need some kind of bridging going on here as well. Although what I will probably do is put the track over the roads rather than the roads over the track. The reason for that is it will cut down my costs in relation to building things, or it should do. And what we'll do is take this road here and run new. Zoom out, please. We've got that road there, and what we'll do is we'll slip in the farm around here. Keep on doing this. I always keep thinking the farm is in the construction area, because it's not. It's in its own dedicated area. We've got the farm in there. Of course, we're going to have a grain silo here, and because we'll put the little fuel truck in, or gas station. I think we'll go red this time instead of green. You can just slip in there, and we'll just... Now for reference, what I'm going to do is have the industrial section of this town over this side, and so in this area we're probably going to have food and clothes production, and then coming out this way, because it's moving towards this town, we're going to build quite an extensive construction area. What we should be able to do is by the end of it, we should be able to produce all the basic construction requirements except steel. Now the reason I'm doing this is, again, simply down to the sheer distance we are away from the border. I mean, it just doesn't work. It's easier just to bring in the coal to make bricks and the various resources you need to make the materials. So we are going to build a large construction area here, and the same applies to food, and of course alcohol and clothes are going to be some of our initial product. To start with, we'll bring crops in to get our alcohol and food industry going, then we'll use the farms to make that self-sufficient. It's just far easier to bring in the basics and manufacture than trying to ship in the different goods. But I should mention that when the new update comes out, you will have the ability to assign multiple goods to trains, but of course we don't have that option at the moment, so we're going to have to do it using base resources. Of course, what we're going to need now is a distribution office. Kind of wondering whether I can get another 2 fields in here, but that road kinks a little bit, and this is a little, this literally goes the full width. We could always straighten this road a bit. Let me just come in here. Try and get this in as, there we are, as tight as I can get it. Okay, we're just going to push the road out this way. I'm almost certain this is not, field's not going to fit in here. In fact, I'll delete the road anyway. I would like to get a field in here. And of course we're going to put it in that way, right? That will oblige me by, yeah, we can maybe a smidge that way. what we'll do is we'll redo this road out to about there, and then send you across to there. And of course we've got to put the power supply in. Now I'm not going to put this underground. Oh, I could put it underground, but I won't need to send it quite so far, because what I'm thinking is to put the main substation here. I think we'll just put a normal power supply in here. It's not going to be that far. We'll just put a power substation just in about there. Of course, we're going to need a distribution office to do the harvesting. So medium distribution office. We'll put it on this side. What's that? Why are you... Where's the infrastructure? What infrastructure are you complaining about? Let me just come here. Ah! Zoom in so I can see. It's that road there, so we're going to have a slight kink in the road. But that puts the power into there. And do is exactly the same as what we got there. Put a couple of hills this way around. Actually, let's go this way, because we're gonna. I mean, we could put a field in behind the. Just kind of intrudes. No, don't like that. We're gonna have to go this way. So let me just put a field in. No, I think we're going to lose that space above the distribution office. I just don't want to crowd the town, which will come apparent later on, is probably the polite way of saying this. And we'll just we can get 3 fields out here. This, we can put a field in here, and so we're gonna have we can run power lines over, as long as I leave a gap that's big enough to put the roads up to here. I know some of you would be cringing at this, saying, God, he's not getting perfect symmetry with the fields, but I actually feel uncomfortable with having fields that are all perfectly geometrically aligned. But maybe because I live in the UK and I live in a fairly rural area, and I can assure you that in the UK our fields aren't particularly that well aligned. I don't know if it's just the nature of the fact that quite often in this country the fields run down boundaries which were laid down about 1,000 years ago. We do tend to hang on to our traditions in this country. And roads which are, as I say, you've actually got areas where things we're following boundaries which go back to, well, say 1,000 years ago. And if you want to see an example of that, go to York, because some of the small shop fronts on the side streets are still following the shop fronts that were laid out during the days of the Vikings. No, stop. I just want to zoom out a bit. I think what I'd like to do is bring this road up round here and to create a bit of a diamond in the rough there. I know some of you look at that and think, well, what's a bit odd, but this is going to be my main power substation area here, and what I would like it to do is be in range of a fire station which is going to be there, so that, because the last thing I want is any of all this lot burning down. And I know this road this bit looks a little bit pretty awful, but I think I can do something with it. Put a big field in. But then again, this is meant to be an experimental series, so let's just put one big field in like that. What that should do then is allow me some space to put in a medium field there, and possibly another little medium field there. And I could move that road, but who cares? You can put a field in a. We want to leave space here. The road is actually there, so we put in. And with a little bit of shuffling, we could kind of get in possibly 1, 2, not quite 3 fields here. What we'll do is just bring substations a little bit in the wrong place. That's okay, we can come out like that, clear about a little bit, so that I can get the road connections there. Come across to, say, about here. You across to there, you into there. You can connect up to there. And in the similar vein to the fields over that side, eventually we will probably have another 2 farms in this area here. Although I do want to keep some trees, because one of the things I will be doing is using trees to provide the heating. Although initially the heating supplies will come from this area up here. And again, in the same way as I said, the way the town's going to expand, we've got a village over here. So what we will get is this town will expand out into this area here, a little bit in this direction, and of course a little bit down to this direction. Now, one thing I will point out is if you see here, the open store and the port here are surrounded by brown. The reason for that is that I've actually marked these for demolition. So when this kicks off and all picks up, what will happen is that these will be demolished, and along with a few other buildings I've picked out which are in inconvenient places like this. But that won't be the subject of this video. What I want to do now is start to run the main power lines in so that we can effectively power up this farm and see whether it's actually going to work. What I'd like to do is 2 things here. And again, we're just going to come into the mods. Power substations, no, that, not power plants, power transformers. I certainly want a main switch station here. What I also would like is one of these as well. Because what we'll do is we'll bring in the 18 megawatt cable to here. This will give me the opportunity to send one of these lower high voltage cables into this area to power the industry up in here. It'll also allow me to branch up into this direction should I need it, although I do have another power off here. And what we're going to do is we'll run this quite literally along the edge of the road here, like that, and we'll run you into there. Of course, come back to here. I think we could probably get away with a 1.5 to here. That's probably less than that actually. Now I think I want to keep it reasonably powered. I don't want it underpowered. And I think we'll just curve you down a little bit into here, and we'll run you. That's a bit too steep. We'll run you into there. That will put power into this area here. Now the next challenge is going to be getting the power over to here. And again, I need to set up a distribution system. But what I really would like to do is to be able to have the option to run even more power into this side. We've got this substation here and the ability to run another power line, but that was probably going to be more orientated towards coming into this area. So out here, no, that's probably a bit too far out. I want to make sure we got plenty of space here to build the construction industry. think what we will do is, well, first, no, well, and the wrong one, wrong one. Let me see, how can I do this? I think if we put in one of these again, put you in this way on, no, we'll put it on this side of the, I think this bend in the road here. I'm reluctant to build on this, on each side of this road, because we're going to have to upgrade this road and use it at the same time. So we're going to need to make sure that we don't obstruct it. I think if we put in something like that, and I'm in, not mods, I want this. Again, we'll just put a switch station in there, but we won't need a full 18 megawatts. I think we'll probably get away with 4, but I think we'll go for 6. Now, before I put in the wire across to there, what I want to do is run the power cable down to here. This is where it could get a little bit complicated because, well, not necessarily, because if I put in one of these here, that will allow me to run high powered into this area should I need it, and come back to and that will come that way, and that will come across to that will give a splitter there. We've got a power substation here. What ideally I'd like to do is put in another substation here, so we bring the power across to here, and I want an extra high power there, because eventually we're going to have to run the power up to there. And actually, while I'm talking about power, the actual main power sources I'm going to be using in this game are going to be thermal power and hydroelectric. Let me just lay this in and I'll show you. No. I'll put this one here, like that, and that means that what we should be able to do then is click here. Can't see it. Run you to there, and again we're going to use the whole here. I'm going to run a full 13 watts. No, we're going to keep the 18 megawatts going just for the moment, and you're going to run reasonably straight and into there, and you're going to run into there. That gets us 18 megawatts all the way out to here, with the option of going around this field and possibly jumping over here to power that town in the long-term future. Now we've got to run power all the way down to over here, and I don't really want it too close to the road, so I think we're about two like that, and then we're going to run kind of parallel to the road but not totally parallel to the road. We'll stop there, and then you're going to run down into there like that. That gives me space to play about with this road and upgrade it, and also possibly put other buildings in around it. Now the next thing I want to do is, we've got this power line here. In fact, I'm going to be a little bit kind of cheeky here. We've got that substation there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run out about here, maybe about there, and hopefully I'll be able to turn the corner here, run down into that one there. Now the reason I put this dog leg in here, there might be a time in the future when we want to run a power cable down into this area, and to be able to do that I can then put in a substation, but I don't want to put in any buildings out here just at the moment because of the risk of fire. I think we've now got everything done, and just to finish this video, what we're going to do is bring the map alive briefly, get these built, so then we can then put in the vehicles into the farms, and then so it means that in the next video we can start working on here, and I won't have to be so paranoid about pausing and unpausing. The other thing I would also like to do is test the power cables, because we run a lot of power cables. So just going to unpause, and we're just going to see everything magically appear and get built up. You can see straight away we've got substations appearing. This is being built. This farm is finished. I'll just go over and check this farm. I don't want the game to run on too far. I think we've got everything, haven't we? This is built. And the next thing we need to do is just, don't have power supply. That means either this is not finished or I've made a mistake somewhere. I think it's finished. Right, so where is the power broken? This doesn't have, this doesn't have a power supply. Probably on one of these junctions. We'll just work our way back through. It hasn't power, so I've made a, I think the mistake is here, isn't it? Okay, pause. Don't have. You've got power. Make sure we got power all the way over here. Oh, amazing. I don't do that very often. So we've now got power connected to these. We've got all our farms built up. The one building I still would like to put in, but no, I think we can take a chance at the moment, is to put the fire stations. In fact, I will put the fire stations in just to show you where they are going to be. And what I want is a fire station. It's got to be close enough to be able to draw in people walking. So we're going to put a fire station there and a fire station. And we just want to zoom in and put another one there. And again, we're just going to let them build. You see, we're really going through the money. We spent over $750,000 already, and we literally built nothing. You can also see that we spent a little bit of money on fuel, because if I go into these little tankers here, you see that they're on auto purchase at the moment, and they're going to have to stay on auto purchase for the moment. I don't think I actually need it, and what I want to do now is just going to zoom out a bit. I just want to make sure I've got everything covered against fire, because I am playing on high fire, therefore there's always a possibility that things can go wrong. Just to double check this one as well. So we got all our farms covered with fire, and I think just to finish the video, what we're going to do is come into here and we're going to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 tractors to start with. I think more than 4 tractors probably won't be worth the effort. And we're going to do exactly the same here. We'll purchase this. I'm going to start blowing away all our lovely money. And if I come up here, you'll see that the port and the open store is done. And in the next video, what we're going to do is focus on getting the basics into the towns in the name of getting the shops, the education and everything else in and working. And of course, what we're going to need to do is get the fire trucks into here. But that will be the next part. So until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.